you know what I hate more than anything in the whole world?
What?
Being filmed. Okay.
I'm going to talk about post-traumatic stress.
Anxiety.
My nervous tics.
The generalized anxiety disorder.
A social anxiety and most likely depression.
And what ended up happening to me when I was little, I had some pretty horrendous things happen to me. And because of that, later on in life, I had some problems with flashbacks.
Looking back, I know that I experienced anxiety probably beginning in about the 5th grade. It got worse when I got into college, and the first time that I had an actual panic attack, I was starting a new job.
I glanced a few kids over from where I was sitting and realized that 4 or 5 kids whom I'd never seen before were all looking at me. I had no idea why at first, but then noticed a pattern of smiles or chuckles every time I made movements with my face. Twitches, tics, it didn't really matter what you called them, they were happening almost constantly.
I felt like no one cared whether I was there or not, and it took a lot out of me.
The worst part was I had trouble sleeping. So I would have these nightmares night after night after night, and I was kind of afraid I was afraid to go to sleep. And I just kept going like, how does this get better?
And for me, when I'm anxious, I really just want to be home and in my bed. And I think that's one of the hard parts for anxiety, is that it feels so awful, and then you get to your safe space and you feel fine, and then you feel guilty, and then you beat yourself up for having left the situation you were in or the people you were with. What I know is that it makes you feel like you hate yourself.
I would find out later that I was simply stockpiling too much stress and anxiety for my body to hold.
During times of high stress, I would just simply shut down. And I would just want to stay in bed because that's how I could avoid the feelings that I would have of anxiety and feeling overwhelmed. The hardest part is that I knew that my thinking wasn't exactly rational, but I had a hard time getting myself out of that thought process.
I never went to any school activities, I never went to any parties or dances or even school sporting events. But I had some strong support outside of school, which is really what helped me kind of overcome my suicidal thoughts and tendencies during high school.
One of the best things was I had a job that I really liked. I will say that it helped having a purpose and finding that. But I found a therapist that specialized in trauma.
But a doctor friend of mine looked me in the eye and said, maybe you need to make friends with these twitches. Make friends with them. I'd reviled them since I was a child, and now I was supposed to accept them.
I found the key to doing it, at least it works best for me, and that's that you have to find ways to take some control back. I became a whiz at creating checklists and figuring out what needed to be prioritized.
I had a roommate in college who really showed me that people did care about me, aside from my family. And he forced me into a lot of social situations that he kind of pulled me out of my shell.
I had to figure out still how to cope. And for coping for alone, I would go exercise, and I just exercise.
Instead of beating myself up, I'm just working really hard on saying, hey, you know what? I felt that way. A lot of people feel that way. Anxiety is a normal mental health condition, and it's great that I feel better already. But that's really hard to do. And obviously, sometimes I still have anxiety like I did last night and this morning, but it's far less often, and I'm much more capable of letting things go.
What I found was that with practice, I still couldn't stop them, but I could move them.
In times of stress, I love to go on a run.
If I were to talk to my younger self, I would definitely say just ask for help earlier. Because just talk to people that I know cared about me and loved me, to just try to find a way to trust people.
Tell everybody you know. So many people have anxiety. It will get better. It always gets better. Doesn't mean it won't come back, but it always gets better.
But after all these years I spent with my body dancing unnecessarily to an anxiety soundtrack only I was listening to, I'm more than happy to move forward in life with a little tingle in my feet.
Number one, you're not broken. You're not alone. And the second thing is that you're in control of your thoughts. Anxiety is part of you, but it doesn't need to define who you are.
Find those people that care and talk to them. Open up to other people. I just wish I would have known, and there's hope and there's light, and if you look for it, you can find the good in a lot of